spot. And I have to say, if ENCE play just as good as they did earlier on against Monty, Diha is in great form. He averaged 25 a map when they played against them. So really hoping that we get a nice brawl between these two squads, because Big look good as well.
Well, Michael, why don't we take a look at what they look like inside the server, because the game is underway, and that's where we will be headed over to. Like you mentioned, good looking from either side, and I'm not just talking about Valde's new skincare routine. Shout out to the Res Valde skin line of products. Check out the IEM and ESL Counter-Strike YouTube channel to find out more about it.
So much potential.
I did like that one a lot. But we have to wait to see what ENCE can do on this map. Of course, Inferno, if you guys aren't familiar, was ENCE's permaban for the longest time. They've finally taken a knee and said, our overpass just doesn't work. We're not playing it anymore. They had a 0% win rate on it on LAN over the past 6 months or so. And let me tell you something, I can see why they've shifted.
And Big picking the Inferno into this series is probably because they did so well earlier. So probably just feeling that this map is in their territory and in their wheelhouse. tabseN started with a 4K on the pistol last time on the T side.
Nice,
now instigating action over at A. tabseN's just lethal with that weapon.
tabseN got an ace actually on Inferno with the P250 last time over. But right now, will not be the ace, but not stolen away by his life being gone. It's actually stolen away by his teammate getting involved instead. And in the meanwhile, tabseN just wants to continue forward. D has got the dualies rocking and rolling, but now after plant positions have been taken up by the T side, it's going to make it a very difficult retake attempt here. Martin's got a flashbang, and that's what you're going to be relying on. Most of your eggs will be in that particular basket, but eggs and flashes don't go well together, and both will end up on the side. Great start of things for Big.
Exactly how you want things to go. Very slow approach there from Big, making sure that if ENCE were going to be aggressive on their CT pistol, they were in a great position to punish. But by the time they slow work up A, ENCE only had the 2 defenders. And after tabseN gets the kill, just meant that it was too much on the plate, too much on the platter for Valde, and he could not feast on any of it. Solid stuff. And as methodical as you would appreciate. Again, ENCE were surviving by the skin of their teeth against Monty. A lot of very close post plants when it came to that game. Oh, good move in from Martin. Flash was enough for him to overwhelm Keto, and jumping up on top of the sandbags. Elevation is hard to compensate for. Equal affair coming into this. Snappy is, well, as his name would suggest, very quick on the trigger.
Well, thank you very much, Snappy. Want to get involved for a bit more, perhaps? And Pius has been smoked off in the meanwhile. The flash bang through to make sure if there's a fast rotate back. And Hike will still have a chance, but still no real commitment from this bomb yet. But in a 3-on-3, unless Crimbo's about to make a move, it's all Snappy all day long. The spray backwards, though, is enough to take him down. Remember, Pius is hardly in his healthiest of states.
Yeah, to equalize is a big deal here for Big. You can see how it stretches ENCE's defense out. It means that Valde will once again be called to order. And in a rather familiar position. Don't have a Molotov to clear this one out, and they could certainly smoke it off, but dealing with the player in pit will be the biggest of deals. ENCE are making their gamble.
Comes out of Diha. Count sound given up. Pius was hoping that that would be enough of a distraction, but Diha can't pick up the frag. Smoke down. Pius has got 2 players, which could be one-shot territory. Valde takes down Farben, and Pius coming in from behind. It's unfortunate that he only catches Crimbo, because Crimbo's not just alive, he is alive and kicking. Kicking Valde's teeth through 8 seconds while the bomb is planted. Pius could actually have gone back and recovered a deagle out from Archers and given himself a much better chance in this affair, but rather instead we'll have to contend with these players the old-fashioned way with a USP or a scout, whichever one he opts to elect for. And as Pius starts to rotate back, is this a save? I don't like this in the slightest, to be honest. I feel like you could have really...
Yeah, he could have definitely gone for this. I mean, we see the HP. This scout is as lethal as an AWP, and so you're sort of bounding between does he use the scout or the USP. Both were very feasible. And he knew he tagged one. Like, he knew one was low, and he finally finishes off the kill on Crimbo, the one he did tag coming into the bomb site.
Now he's going to know Hype was low as well.
Well, what could have been.
If only. One thing to keep an eye out for as well to the viewers at home, it's interesting because ENCE is obviously learning this map in these officials as it goes on. This year is the first time they've picked it in a very, very long time. Valde and Diha play interchangeable anchor spots in a very interesting way, which is that Diha will always be the first player on the A-bomb site in terms of the first player to commit to it, but Valde will sometimes be the one left behind, which is generally a change in how you see. So although Valde plays rotations early on, late round rotations, the more convinced ENCE is that it's a B-side hit, the more likely it is that Diha's going to be the one to rotate over. Sunfires, in the meanwhile, good tag, but it's only the one. It won't matter because there's a grenade and teammates down mid. A second force buy is giving them a lot to work with, and this time, again, Snappy is just coming alive in a big way.
Yeah, that value in holding onto that scout as well is shining through. For weaponry that ENCE facilitated have got them a 5-on-2 advantage. Keto and Crimbo. 2 Ks, but it's not okay. That's even worse. Crimbo tagged, and while Keto finds a headshot, Crimbo has to be careful he doesn't fall victim to that scout. Keto's actually a man on a mission. Headshot after headshot, but eventually overwhelmed, and now Crimbo's call to order, the clutch man. Of course, we call back to his debut on Big. It felt like this guy was winning an unreasonable amount of clutches, less so as of late, and won't anticipate that Diha's ready to greet him in the apartments. That's not how you welcome guests. Regardless, ENCE first round on the board off the back of a follow-up force buy around that saved scout.
And they actually lost out on a couple of these anti-force buys on Ancient as well versus Monty, but they're still able to actually sort of close it down. Well, they didn't lose them necessarily. They just lost a lot of players and then won the 2v5. But in my head, that's a lost round, right? Even so, I think Big might have just expected that to be an eco to come through from ENCE straight up, because it felt like the way they were barreling down mid with the MAC-10s, they were really prepared to start making some cash, and perhaps not reading into the fact that ENCE wanted to reinvest after Big had lost all their players.
Nade is decent. Make it easier for this MP9s and the M4s to one-shot headshot. That doesn't stick with the weapon for long. Keto's the one with the AK. And they get confirmation. Hyped even tagged further down. Favin tanking a lot of damage himself. It's a cluster of big players just waiting to pounce over at B, but ENCE don't stick around to find out. They do have a smoke. Only one, so if they decide to throw that CT, it's going to have to be a commitment.
Oh, Keto tries to go out there and just get the first shot in. Martin is ready and waving. Yes, please. Give me a little bit more that I can chomp down on, he says. And, well, he is going to get another anti-eco now coming out versus Big. This is a great rebound from ENCE.
I have to say, one of the pieces on the ENCE roster I thought would thrive more when he first joined was Martin. I mean, he was... I'd love the idea of him being the Montenegrin mad lad. You know, high octane, get in your face. That felt like his characterization before he joined ENCE, but he's learned to take on different roles. Yeah, I might shed a singular tear for it, but ENCE are looking for production out of this roster. You know, they lost to Complexity at IEM Katowice, who underwent changes around the similar time, but not as crucial pieces. You know, changing your AWPer as well as bringing in and trying to compensate for the loss of a star rifler, it can take a longer time to adapt. And this isn't even a full force Big. This is one with a stand-in.
So I read a Deserter report right now while we were off. I think they said that Hyped is the permanent replacement now, but I'm not sure about the validity of that exactly. I wasn't able to finish up the article to see if there's a comment from the team itself.
I feel like it's probably a similar situation to Hampus with NIP, where it's kind of an indefinite replacement until they find out how long the personalities are going to last.
Well, meanwhile, I feel like there's some issues over on Big. The fact is that they are just wheat, ready to be chopped down. Martin, you know, he's going to go for the ace. You might tame a lion, but when he smells that meat, he is still coming for it. Valde, in the meanwhile, is more of a bunny rabbit, hopping up and down inside apartments.
Alright, so one's a carnivore, one's a herbivore, is what I'm hearing.
Sure, man. The herbivore with an MP9 is still pretty damn terrifying.
By their powers combined, they can eat all kinds. Maybe that's the diet of this squid that ENCE have. Anyway, important is this
I feel
half-eye
like we
here
should
from
have stopped.
Big.
We probably should have stopped with that one a while back
Yep.
before we got to the squid, yeah. But also, just to go back to the earlier Inferno that we did see coming out from Big, as much as we were praising them for utility and flashbangs being perfect and every single duel feeling like it was unfair, what happens when those duels feel a little bit fairer, right? Because Big are going to have some question marks around their firepower, that's for sure. That's always been the case, but even more so now with Hyped. And as good as he was in the previous series up against Heat, we need to see him perform here. They are looking like they want to go for a full waterfall outside of the apartments right now. Flash is well placed. Dia's going to be forced off of it as well. They don't have any more flashes to go, and that means the fair duels I talked about coming in. Tabsen and Crimbo quickly opening up the side, and Valde's been lost between opponents. Too many to choose from, and too few bullets left to try and fight with. Snappy forced to contend with the taps of Crimbo, and that is a contention he cannot afford to provide. Big will answer back in style.
Yeah, this was going to be the question drawn into this round, is how successful was this half-buy going to be? And Big just go in with such pace that, I mean, you see just how awkward it is for some Pius on the bomb site, overwhelmed by Tabson, and then just a flurry of Ts for each and every duel that ENCE had afterwards. Fantastic stuff. And another person that is probably subject to a bit of scrutiny is the addition of some Pius. You know, someone that is being tasked with taking on more responsibilities for this team. They're trying to adapt to all of their additional players. Martin overstepping over at B, Hyped just peeking over at Banana floor, and there was no one really to back him up. Snappy does take over reins on this B bomb site. And that head-to-head with some Pius and Hyped on that AWP, you know, there's still a point to prove with some Pius. He has to maintain that value and form that got him the most notoriety in sort of the international scene. Had a rise with the Movistar Riders, but it's kind of been an ENCE descent.
Nice to try and fight back. Keto will be tagged up just a little bit. The CTs have got to start to be careful overhead. They are already considering the side, contemplating Valde, and they have not actually really moved back to the A bomb side. And if Snappy will end up falling without getting a kill, well, then you might as well say goodbye to this round already. That's what ENCE has decided. I mean, hell, honestly, at this point, with how far away Valde and Diha are, the fact that Big have not planted the bomb yet is the biggest boon imaginable. Sunpice is gone, though, courtesy of the flashbang of Tabson. And Snappy will not be able to contribute. The best he can hope for is just being able to get the AWP on the fadeaway, but even that might be difficult as the CT smoke has not just expired, but will even be contended by Keto.
Yeah, they were still trying to convince each other to come back in for this retake on the side of ENCE, but they weren't convinced. Snappy actually cancelled the plant by landing a successful spam on Tabson. That's why they took that extra time to actually trade positions. I think Favin ends up planting the bomb, Tabson the one to hold. So they stick around probably for a little too long if they were going to have these A defenders sit pretty for as long as they did. I feel like they should have just left and held on to their weapons, but if they found any more picks, there was a way back in. Not to be, though. Big up to 4, and ENCE with these 2 retrieved rifles now have to make a decision on whether or not they commit around these guns. Certainly justify the force around it, and that's exactly the route they'll go. Some Pius might be able to hold on to an additional set of cash. He'll float the most money, but not by any significant margin.
Oh, asking for a boost, I do believe. Maybe, I don't know. Well, they asked him to sit inside there by shooting down. Martin's being set up for what could have been a flashbang, but Snappy doesn't actually have one. All he's got is an incendiary, and as he will be incendiaring out the back half wall, this is where things get interesting. Good grenade will keep Keto honest, and there's no flashbang to follow up. As Keto tries to take some real estate, Snappy will quickly shot him down and accelerating in through middle. It's Favin to find Sunpius from the fadeaway. Valde to fight, but Favin with the deagle out just runs into him. Doesn't even need the AK. Diaz left alone. And he mentioned he was fantastic before, but this is a tall order. Utilities coming in from all over the shop. The shop being shut down. Diha will be trying to bring the shutters in, but unfortunately shot down as he tries to do so. Snappy, 1-on-2, left all alone. No buy in the next round. Then Python attempted, maybe he will.
Yeah, Diha tried his darndest, didn't he? But it's not going to be enough. Snappy's low and too far away. Doesn't fancy his chances. No kit either. So Big will take another. I can't believe Fafin just ran at him with the Deeg. Runs out of ammo in the AK, gets Molotov'd off, and decides, you know what? I can see how out of position you are, and I'm going to punish. That's that's a kill that swings the round. Like, if he dies, then there's a real chance that ENCE just hold the site.
This is also where you start to see some of the inexperience from ENCE on Inferno too, right? Because obviously, the free kill that they're able to get on Banana is fantastic, and it's really good for them. But the fact that those two players have been caught off for so long as the immediate response that's coming in for aggression through mid brackets, which is a lot more common over the past few months. So the metagame, I think Navi really defined that. Just caught off on the way back, so Sunpias doesn't even really have a chance to turn the corner. Those small timing windows. That's the difference that reps on a map are going to make, and unfortunately for them, right now, that timing works against them.
Well, Snappy distributes. There's an AK around, there's a Deagle floating in Valde's hands. Snappy not the man you typically expect to have a little highlight on the hero rifle. Can maybe show up. Martin, smoke is timely, but so is Tabson's push. What a surprise. That's the sole defender of the B bomb site already dealt with, and Snappy's AK gets a whole lot of nothing out in no man's land in CT, so irretrievable here for ENCE.
Keep on hunting. Carbon is there to be the backup, the bodyguard. Get down, Mr. President. Or Mr. IGL, I guess.
My captain, my captain.
ENCE is in trouble if they can't take this round away from Big over here. This has to be their position and point to try and rebound in from. Especially when we've seen that when Big's economy starts being built up. And look, it's 5 digits from 3 of them. Very close to it on the 4th. They hunt. They hunt like maniacs. They will throw every single body after you for every single kill they can get. So ENCE will not get respite of saving the way maybe some other teams might give them.
I'm going to fixate and talk about that hyped versus some pious head-to-head. A round in which they'll both have ults and a slow approach here from Big. Flashes are great. Some Pius actually cannot go for the reface, and they're on the hunt. They want to chase him down, but some Pius finds a great timing to reface just before that smoke can bloom, before they can round that corner safely. Bomb is the one that's going in for this wrap, but it's all alone in doing so. Keto trying his best to back him up, and while Valde cheats through the smoke, Bomb is actually flanking into Diha, and he's not expecting to be shot from the high ground. Flank from mid. Snappy's here a little late, and Keto goes to check it, so ENCE crumble on this A site. Some Pius sectioned off by the smoke at the start of this hit, and can't do anything with the AWP. Best he can do is run away to save. Big at 7.
I have a legitimate question, which is there anything Big doesn't think of? Because the first flashbang, it's a double flasher that they throw forward. The first flashbang is dodged out, and Pius is hit by the second one. Sure, that's fine, right? That's not too out of the ordinary. Then immediately afterwards, Keto's expecting to push through the smokes inside arches because he feels like they're going to be worried about making a play. But Keto stays long enough on Banana that Snappy is pressured that his route back over through mid is going to be late as well. And then after Keto gets the kill defending Tabson, just goes ahead and he turns back and finds Snappy as well. Even that was a double peek being set up. They really just seem like they think of everything.
Yeah, they're thinking about the gaps. And I think it was more the fear that if Tabson's alone wrapping from the arches, then if he dies, they're in a really precarious spot. Like, those smokes are not going to last forever long. Yeah, good attention to detail, picking up the slack where there was a potential weakness there on the hit from Big. Hey, more of the same from this Big squad. Already up to 7 here on the T side. There's a 13-2 half against Heat, which we weren't expecting to be replicated. probably
Hey,
won't.
they're on 3, right? So it can't be replicated. We're
Yeah.
safe.
But there's still potential for 12.
You sound like my mother. Well, sure, you can't get 100, but you could get 98.
What happened to 99? We just decided that wasn't worth the
I
time.
mean, the one question I knew I got wrong was the 2 marks question. You gotta understand, Michael. I feel like you haven't been giving any exams in a while. Neither have I, in all fairness.
Yeah,
but
okay.
what
Well,
am I
didn't have to
pretending?
call me out. You call yourself out indirectly. Only
You know,
tests
I
I
realized
observe.
earlier on when you mentioned that, Tabson was the young up-and-comer and whatnot. I think Tabson might be one of the last players who was considered a star and can still perform slightly at a star level from time to time, who's going to be older than me.
That's pretty harrowing.
Yeah, when you think about it. I don't think that's what ENCE is thinking about, though, right now. I think ENCE is thinking about, can we find these players on Banana before they commit? Dia is going for the wrap as well.
I mean, this is just such a weird time to go for this hit. 20 seconds for Big.
Oh, good nade, though. Good nade. They've heard the player dropping down. This is where the commit is coming through. Senpius is getting caught out without finding anything. Keto quickly dropped down. Martin with a side swipe CZ. 8 seconds on the clock, and it's getting dangerous. It's getting tough. It will be Dia to connect once again, but while the bomb is being planted, Valde comes over. Bomb is down. Hype turns around. An opportunity. Give him up. Hype won't let it through. Not like this. Big will persevere, and ENCE have their hopes dashed.
Oh, I'm squealing, and that's because this flank from Banana, there was no one watching for it, and if he prioritized the planter, that round's done. He can get around the corner before realization sets in that they've been flanked. Went for the kill, got the one-on-one, and Hyped didn't back down from the challenge. That's that is just soul-crushing. ENCE had that. 20 seconds to perform the hit on B. Big did not leave a lot of margin for error.
I even felt like Dia made the perfect call as well, right? Recognizes where the smoke is coming into the A-bomb side, spots it out to be a fake because he's playing a little bit more towards the arch side this time over, and he commits to flanking in the second prong, but just a little bit of extra that you needed.
Well, money's in a great place for Big. Look at some of the funds. Hype's, I mean, he came in capped on cash. Only buying the utility that he needed. The only survivor from the last round, of course. Glassberg to at least obscure the jump up into the balcony. Favin, they should expect this. It's a trick a lot of teams have been using lately. Don't just break glass for the fun of it. It's also a good way you can fake out presence. But a reload inside of the apartments, they know it's occupied, so ENCE won't push much further. Keto taking duels down bottom B and takes a lot of damage in doing so. A survivor of 3 HP. Funnily enough, the only rounds that ENCE have had, well, that's a big fat number 3 as well. Keto and ENCE sharing a lot in common, but they've also been on the receiving end of a lot of hurt in this game, and Big are already in an advantage moving into that second half. It's all about whether or not they can stop the bleeding before it gets too bad, before this wound gets infected.
Snappy's trying to apply a tourniquet coming in from B, right? This is where he's really contemplating whether it's worth pushing through, but those smokes have still got a couple of seconds left on them. Diha. Good positioning. Flashes can be dodged out. The duel between him and Crimbo will be crucial. Senpius gets the first, fades away. Diha knows he needs to commit soon. Good for the kill, and Senpius misses out as Tapson hops right past him. Around the corner comes Tapson, completely ignoring Diha, and that's a critical mistake that he's made. 18 on the clock and Keto on the prowl. He'll be missing out opportunities with his HP already gone. Hype is trying to circle the corner. Maybe would have been better off saving, but wanted to get a bit of that action himself as well. ENCE persevere.
Who else but Diha said earlier that against Monty, he was able to average above 25 kills a map. And now stepping up to the plate, 4 kills on the defense. Big could not hunt him down, couldn't track him down, couldn't trade. A burst through, and they're trying to pull these timings further and further into the round. They're not simply pacing up. You know, I think when we saw them against Heat, they were comfortable changing the pace and actually just solo hunting for frags, sometimes getting double entries on the B side of the map. They, I think, respect that ENCE won't fall foul to plays like it. They're being methodical in their approach. This time 3B start here for ENCE. That's because Sampires is here with the AWP. Maybe we see that change of pace. Earlier apartments control and more fixated on middle are big.
Yeah. Once again, call to order. And Valde is very far away. He won't be able to help out. Diha caught with the smoke in his hand, but he's put it away in time. Flashes too many. Too damn many. Wastes his entire magazine as the T-side waltzes past him. And guess what ends? No more A bomb site. Not for you. Not right now.
Dude, that's not fair.
Is it ever? With Big, is it ever fair?
That just, I mean, that looked perfect. You know, it's a completely split A-side defense. One holding short, and, you know, a lot of responsibility on Diha. He has to prevent any sort of apartments controls as well as any creep up from short. But as soon as that smoke landed at his feet, he pulls out his smoke to try and counteract apartments pressure. They barreled through. Those flash timings, I mean, they couldn't have been more on the money. One kill is sometimes all it takes. And here's the thing. You know, Diha, funnily enough, if he didn't shoot, might have actually gone unchecked to a certain degree because they just jumped out, I think partially blinded by their own flashes as well. But panic set in because that responsibility was so high. He was just hoping he got something for his efforts.
And the perfect call. Really, the perfect call.
And that's one of those rounds that because of how late they executed last time, you know, they read into where Diha was positioned and the success he just had. And I think just accelerated that schedule this time over. You know, that's why they bought the MAC-10. It was tailored to the failures that they had from the round prior.
We saw that on Ancient as well earlier on versus Heat. These guys are not afraid of changing up their weaponry. And I can't blame them if that's a success we're going to see. Ooh, wee. Somewhere out in the wild, Maui Snake is watching this and salivating. At least I hope so. Flashbang coming in, and what a quick little affair from Keto as well. Martin's already been given the nightcap, and Keto won't hesitate to add another to the grave. These entries from Keto have really been on point.
Yeah, I mean, I start to say that they're not changing their pace or re-attacking areas in the early stages of rounds, and they start doing it, so... Big picking up on the same wavelength. Keto on a hunt for a third. Will finally go punished, but ENCE have already called it quits in this round. Get double entried on B as fast as this when you're playing opponents like Big or ENCE. You know, you have to respect it. Gotta think the long term, try and squeak out as much as you can from this half, and ENCE will just be praying that they can somehow grab their hands on a fifth. Holding onto these 3 rifles could be the biggest part of that. Surprised Big aren't throwing more bodies at this, considering their money.
Sampais is also so damn fast, actually, when I look at him. When he's given fair duels, just like, yeah, I'm gonna get that. Every time.
And I think that was always one of the biggest differences and one of the concerns maybe for Sampais coming in. You know, he was surrounded by riflers that would often be instigators. Now he has to be that guy. And he doesn't always have the same level of support, you know, expecting that his mechanics and his form will be enough to take those fights and make the right decision.
Very few people are crazy as Mopos and Alex are, but Sampais has taken that fight initially, unfortunately, not necessarily the right decision. Utility galore, and somehow Hype has managed to, or rather Keto has managed to evade all of it. Boost up as well, but a missed opportunity. Keto will be unable to punish as well on the other side, but he's completely blind. He's got full faith. He's got full faith in his teammates' flashes to move forward and get that entry, and they're not done yet. Not at all. They're going to force them off of the close angles, make it so they have to reconsider, but not even giving them time to readjust back. It's all Snappy on the bomb side. They're peeking into him, but Snappy, a performance and a half had been delivered. Sampais pushes through the smoke, and he misses his opportunity, though. Locked out of the bomb site.
Have to go for it as well. Last round of the half, and separated, segmented. Hype will even cut Diha down, so Valde has to do it all alone. A 1-on-3 and no smoke to even provide him any safety. Hyped will close it. An 11-4 half from Big on the attack. We'll have to wait to see whether ENCE can get it going as well on their T side.
We thought Big might have fluked it out versus Heat, but turns out they've been packing. And they've been packing some heat of their own. Not just in the way we saw earlier on. Question is, can ENCE start to cool things down a little bit? Come through and ice them. That is yet to be seen. Pistol round's going to be a key part of it.
Yeah, it's daunting staring down the barrel of an 11-4, but this round would be a good place to start. Four-man setup here from Big. If they decide to go through middle, they'd be in for a nasty surprise. But out of the apartments, they'd only have to deal with 2.
Saw some P250 goodness earlier on. Why not add some more? Nappy, as he does manage to drop down, will actually end up having all of his teammates taken away from him as the push into brackets and apartments comes out. Diha will miss out his opportunity. Valvin doesn't even need a headshot there, so despite the bomb plant in, and it looking like ENCE had found a lot of success, this ends up being a 4-on-3 retake attempt from the CT side. No kits, so speed will be of the essence, and Martin will quickly take over library as well. In the process of doing so, frees up all of Arches. Valde and Snappy can focus on this crossfire that they're trying to set up. Martin, however, is much more concerned about the apartment's drop, but turns back and finds archers as well. Martin's tearing him a new one. He is looking stellar. Nothing can stop this man. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, 3Ks in that pistol, and, Sunpius does enough to distract and pull all of the big players away and focused on middle, and as soon as ENCE jumped out of the apartments, there was just nobody that can contest them, so eventually just a free plant, a free bomb site, based on the call there from ENCE and the pistol. Martin's the one that secures a lot of the frags after the fact, but the call was actually a great counter to the setup of Big. It ended up in a quick roll reversal where they had to retake that A bomb site just as quick as they held onto it. So just what ENCE needed to start thinking about a comeback. A lot of steps being heard down middle, and Diha doesn't actually want that heat. Got the Mac 10 and can certainly farm up, and gonna trust that the smoke spam will be enough. Finally, Diha's dealt with, but second SMG is here to collect. Valdez even allowed to get these kills. Nope, Sunpius will steal them away. No harm, no foul. Big not ending up with too much success based on those USPs, but they also just wanted to send it at ENCE, see what they got, and it was only the one kill.
Good conversion, though, from ENCE to come through. Obviously, a lot of that was about damage mitigation and making sure that Ooh! I really, really like this, to be honest. This could throw a real problem into things. They're going to get their first gun round at the same time, but they're really increasing their chances of maybe getting a few more kills just by the surprise element being added in. And ENCE is likely going to be expecting a full bio, especially with the kind of utility that's being used up over here. So playstyle's going to be very different. And as the 5-7 reveals itself, it does get a lot of damage. Flashbang through. Tabson picks up on a drive-by. And why not truck out some explosives afterwards? Martin running away from the demolition, and as the AK is recovered, it's even a quick little shot through that might have actually clipped the corner of the wall, if I'm not wrong, with how little damage it did. But Tabson wants to keep it going. Do they know Hyped is nearby? They should. The flashbang was run by a player, but they probably don't think he's this close. Smoke down will reveal that fact, but they've got no flashes to actually try and push through. Boost will connect. So Martin might have saved the day, but that is still a lot of time remaining and very little HP to work with.
They're in full containment mode, understanding that they could be flanked. And Diha, even while he was suspicious, does get dinged up immediately. Nade down, and a smoke as well will help section. There's a sandwich, a small gap between those two smokes that could be exploited, but neither team will take it. Martin and Sunpius both so low and having to dodge the spam. Now retrieving that bomb and escaping. Sunpius taking one bullet as a parting gift, but bomb site's open. Crimbo's quick on his feet to try and get back, and Martin's dealt with. Sunpius has to try and commit to this plant, and now he's trapped in at the oranges. Has to play on that right side of the bomb site, but they actually give him a bit of room. Repositioning, and that's going to be key. How much noise do they make? No kits, but a lot of weapons recovered. Sunpius trying to go for the wraparound, and with all that thunder footing, he will get the drop on Big. They'll clear the back of the bomb site. Will they be suspicious that Sunpius has taken their spot in CT? Crimbo can try and defuse into the first oranges, and Sunpius can't do a thing about it. It's all about how much time Favin can buy for him, and unfortunately for Sunpius, he ain't just sitting on top of that bomb. The safe plant that he held so dear for his life ends up coming back to bite him. Big, what a stealer of a round off of a half buy that you wouldn't have expected, where a full buy could have taken its place.
This is the largest amount of grey matter that's come out of Germany since Albert Einstein. That's all I've got to say right now. These are... God, this is the kind of innovation. Single round, small little things. That's all it matters about. ENCE are completely caught off guard by those 5-7, those drive-bys, the kind of peaks that they're going for. That's not what Big would ordinarily do, not at all. And now they're thunderfooting it down. Snappy's blind, he's on fire. That's what it feels like to play against Big. You're blind, you're on fire, and you've been 5-7.
Man, Snappy's probably just happy that at least something's caught back. Over push from Crimbo. So it's still equal in the numbers. What is this gamble stack from Big? 4 players at A, bomb site B completely vacant. They are in ENCE's head. If they commit to an A play and there's 4 here, I don't know what to say. I don't know who has made this call, how they've done it. Has to be Tabson, surely.
I have started to eke back over.
Yeah. maybe jumping the gun a little bit. And over-rotating, in fact, the other way.
Listen, Hype is the only player left over here, and if he can get one, maybe there's still something to be done. Martin wants to try and pre-fire over. Is he able to force out the shot? No one over here to actually back Hyped up, but they don't expect that. So Hyped is given a lot more room than maybe he would have in other situations. Martin circles around from the back, and he's able to give him a smack in the head. Big may have won out the half-bar round, but they're not going to be able to take everything away. No, not yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Albert Einstein still has his place in, the Hall of Fame of intellectuals from Germany.
I mean, we're just talking about their intelligence and making some good decisions. I really thought they were just gonna stick with an A play, and I'm like, how have they made this gamble and gamble correctly? But yeah, the doubt started to set in. To a certain degree, they're probably kicking themselves that they broke down that setup, but just leaving B open is a massive risk.
And look, this is also the point where we also have to add into the fact that as much as we are praising and for good reason, showering Big with the accolades and whatnot, Martin is sneakily having a fantastic game right now. Martin is right now on 16 kills. This is so good to see because Inferno was actually one of his best maps back on FPX, and I was so heartbroken that I wouldn't get to see him play it when he came to ENCE. It was always the Martin and Zen show back in the day, so good to see him being able to get a lot more comfortable, being a lot more aggressive with it as well. You saw some crazy pushes back in the day when he was on FPX, and right now it's not quite the same, but you can see that flair.
Yeah, I think steadily overtaking Diha. Diha had a better CT performance, but Martin's been in their faces on some of these T pushes. Of course, was part of the recovery of what ended up being a big round. The Sunpius 1v2 that he just couldn't convert on. So not all of his kills have resulted in wins. Still, and to be happy that there's a second component activating for this T side, because it's quite a run they need to make. Only one round so far from Big, and that stemmed off those 5-7s. And just have to keep a lid on it. Can't allow Big to do what they want. They've been trying some things, exploring their options. They know they've got a buffer to play off of, but those 5 rounds can be quickly lost. And Favin caught with a Molotov. This is the exact kind of circumstance you don't want to have happen. Crimbo gets nothing. Tried to play it safe and passive inside of Pit, but eventually cleared by Snappy. That's a bomb site taken. There's a save call here from Big again.
This is when ENCE can start sneaking back up. All the fancy footwork in the world won't matter if you've got a Molotov out in your hand when the site hit is coming through. We saw that from Diha earlier on as well when he did just get flashed to oblivion. But now comes a lot more pressure to the shoulders of these big players, and we have to see who exactly will respond and start to pick things up. Generally speaking, that has been Tapson, right, to make a play, to see if he can get aggressive, to call something interesting. But I want to see a bit more from Hype. I want to see him go for an aggressive op shot, something like it. Obviously, Sunpius made a few attempts that weren't entirely successful in that first half. The second one has got something different in store.
One of the things I've always admired and I'm always interested about is in-game leader philosophies. I remember there was an interview with Tabson once upon a time where he talked about his philosophy on CT sides. He loves being in sort of the center of the map where he has the most amount of information. He's kind of bounding between bomb sites to help. Inferno, Vertigo are maps that I think is most reflective of that. But even though he's been at the center of calls, he's also not had all of them right. And Snappy, able to perform some miracles so far, some good decisions over on that A bomb site in particular.
Paul Brackenstay coming out of here. Hype starts it off really nicely for Crimbo to just pair it together with another kill with the P250. ENCE is already having flashbacks. The 5-7s. And with only bracket control to work off of, it doesn't matter if Big or highly defensive back on B. They can just walk back in onto the bomb site. And even there, they don't want to. They want to try and fix site onto Archers. Tabson starting to rotate over. This time over, he's not going to rotate back too quickly. Hyped is so well aware of what could come his way. Valde is delayed in this peak to come through, so there's no real chance to punish either, and he's delayed for good reason. There's about a million different players who are keeping an eye out for him. Farvan spots out Diha. Will not reface. That's a discipline we've come to know and love from this team. As Hype takes a peek forward, he will be the one punished, but only to be traded out soon after. Farvan more than happy to assist, and Valde is just a dead man walking that off, can be recovered as well.
Yeah, almost accidentally picking up 2 ops there, Big. They were happy with how that played out. Only those 3 weapons that were saved over in the last round and a couple of pistols to surround it, and that was enough for Big to counteract the ENCE attack. Great effort there from Hyped, and it feels like he has been powering up game to game in this qualifier. You know, had a rough first day, but he really impressed when he was up against Heat. Now also stepping up to the plate when called upon. 13th round for Big stemmed off a lot of his successes. Control nade set from Big, but look at the half wall. Madden will eat the nade, and actually doubly so. Didn't see that second one coming.
So earlier on I was doing util checks now and then. This time it's a little bit less prolific, but even so, a lot of great flash assists and utility damage coming out from this team, regardless, as is to be expected with the way things have been going. Keto turning around. It's actually a grenade. He heard the pin being pulled and he turns in the wrong place. Hyped, however, willing to get aggressive from inside the Molotov, and immediately turns back, and an incendiary of his own will keep ENCE from aggressing through from behind. They don't have smokes that they can afford to waste. Well, they don't have smokes at all, actually. And Hype from around Pillar is going to make this also very difficult. Diha, straight entry in. Headshots all it takes. Will they realize Tabson is still around? No, Sunpius is turned. He wants to keep it going. Tabson re-peaks. He knows his teammates are going to be far, far away. Would rather take the element of surprise and do some damage.
Yeah, if not for the fact that he fumbled the spray a little bit on Sunpius, maybe he could have gotten a second. Had enough time to adjust. ENCE were slow to react, but now they have to react to the flank. Trapped in at the back of the bomb site, and there's util in spades here. They can section this off with these 2 smokes. Diha's got to take first contact, but he's low.
Oh, there is a grenade. Goes the wrong way. Valde's going to be chunked up, sure, but it's not going to be a quick kill. Oh, no. Diha reveals himself, and he's just got the triple. Fantastic stuff coming out from him. The kill onto Hype is the only reason why they're even able to get up onto the bomb site. Otherwise, that could have been a trade, sure, but it wouldn't have mattered. Tabson was set up for the full bait setup, and if Hype gets one more frag there, that round is over and done with. Diha puts them on his shoulders, and I've got to say they've been looking mighty wide lately.
Yeah, he's been hitting the gym. I mean, really having a phenomenal day 2 here in the lower bracket. Might have to continue that form if there's a chance to come back. Big are still closer to that finish line than ENCE. Inferno could certainly still swing the other way, but going to take us a little while to get there. A little half buy in from Big. Oh, Crimbo flubbing the lines. Valde's back was offered up, and so the pistol will come out swinging. Crimbo there to finish off business, but taking a hefty amount of damage for his trouble. Keto boosted, and this could certainly be a spanner in the works. Hard angle to pre-aim if you're Sunpius. And will likely be the pry bar. A lot of noise being made. Actually, ENCE are going to go quick.
No flanks his head to catch Keto either. He's so sloppy on the spray. That means Tabson's going to try and pick it up, and he's able to do so as well. Quick shot to the head of Snappy, and Keto's still alive. He's so alive. He goes ahead and completely destroys any chance whatsoever of entering that B-bomb site. Big Clan win every single half by imaginable.
I can't believe they keep getting away with it. It's kind of ridiculous. Keto decided to reference Star Wars. I have the high ground, don't try it. And sure enough, ENCE barrel through that smoke, and they're not expecting Keto to have stayed up high. They knew that he was boosted up after Tabson played close to that smoke. Thought for sure he'd be playing his life, but Keto had other plans. Smoke immediately on top of that Molotov, top banana, and Tabson gets a double because of it. The util set from Big catches ENCE out, and they were all blind on the default. Now Snappy with the D gets nothing. Money is broken.
That is picture perfect. Modern's been throwing that exact same smoke every time that Molotov goes forward and then starts to aggress through on the right side because they killed him. Actually, going to hold the point because Valde Might still have a chance to get a quick kill, get some rotations out, see what he can get done. It's a 2-on-5, but it feels like it's one they need to take. Saving here gives you very little. And Diha, well, there's a long time still left in this round, and a lot of time to sit down and contemplate what the hell just happened. They won't take their time, though. They want to take brackets instead. Hyped. Other side of things. Off at the ready. Freebie giving up to him. Wants a repeat back over. He's even buying space. He's even buying time. He's buying so much time. Diaz just goes down, and Michael, sorry, but just to go back very quickly to the banana point, Modern the last time over, he dies to the double nade to come through, so they know he's not going to stick to the right side wall. Instead, he's going to be gray screen for a while longer as he pushes through that smoke. The flashbang catches him completely blinded up, but the second player coming in from the right side, yeah, that's just picture perfect. That's two isolated duels in a 2v2 on banana where it should never be possible. That's just big, small little adjustments, reading it down to a T.
Well, confident peek here from Hyped, and Sampaius will duck before the bullet connects. Gotta make it work on pistols here, ENCE. That would indicate they want to go for something quick, something bursty. Not quite gathered or collected enough to perform that play as of yet. A lot of utility to bleed the timeout. Only two players positioned on A. Hyped and Crimbo will try and play off one another. Once D-House starts throwing utility, there will be sound cues that Crimbo can hear. Hyped, if not, can at least relay. Playing close, and that nade will do decent damage. Well, they had to duck himself away.
Pushes them away, and that smoke timing that they were relying on is just going to be completely unbeatable now. There comes the drop back. Crimbo, pre-fire. They are able to take him down, but not before he can get a single frag for himself. Farvan in the meanwhile is repositioned. Straight back to the grave he goes, but who's going in the grave right now? ENCE are really hoping it's going to be some Germans. But all the evidence is on the contrary. Farvan able to sneak past. He's expecting the late push to come through from mid, but instead it's turned around. Sampaius wants to move back. Modern a Molotov, and he's been able to extinguish it. Sampaius completely unsuspecting of Farvan's lurk forward. And as these players try to scale, Martin's cut off. Farvan will prevent it all. 16-9, Big Clan. Completely dismantle ENCE piece by piece.
Yeah, I can't believe just how well this worked out for Big. Not only an 11-4 half coming into that CT side. I mean, just the way that they were playing off of each other and all that utility that we were praising them for in the Heat game. It felt like they were actually having almost better executions of that utility, especially on these half buys on the CT side instead. So both sides of the game, it feels like